That was a fizzy one. That was a good one. Welcome back to another episode of Stacking Dennys. I'm Jordan McAbee of RotoBaller, my co-host Nick Giffen of the Action Network. Round of 12 is complete with another SVG road course win at the Charlotte Roval. Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, and Ross Chastain eliminated from playoff contention. We're down to the round of 8. Kyle Larson comes home second, Christopher Bell third. Chris Buescher runs top 5 all day. He finishes fourth, and then Michael McDowell fifth. A lot of the same road course guys that we're used to finishing up front, especially SVG grabbing another win this year. Ryan Preece comes home sixth, Daniel Suarez seventh, Chase Elliott, AJ Allmendinger, and Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 10. William Byron gets passed on the last lap for 10th by Reddick because, as you know, I bet William Byron for a top 10 last week, and that's just my luck lately. But SVG in victory lane once again. People were not overly impressed with this race, but they also weren't disgusted with this race. Nick, what do you think of the overall product on track?
It was fine. You could pass, and I like that towards the end of a run, you could have 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 seconds of fall off. But I don't know if it was enough because it only seemed to happen to some cars. SVG did one less stop, and than the other leaders, and they still didn't catch him. He was still, he maintained a 15, 16 second lead at the finish because he didn't stop and he was able to preserve his tires. And that's the thing about SVG is not only is he fast at road and street courses, but he's also able to minimize the fall off when everybody else has more. And that's something I've noticed time and time again. He might not be the quickest in the short run, but over the long run, he does something to where he does everything perfectly to preserve the tires. So, guys like Larson and Bell and stuff, they did an extra stop and they had those fresh tires, but they weren't even gaining 3 or 4 seconds a lap on SVG. They were gaining half a second a lap, and that's just not enough to do an extra stop there. So I thought that was really interesting. So, I was glad to see the fall off, but SVG's on another planet. And, I said this on Running Hot, but a lot of people, my age, my generation grew up Jeff Gordon fans, and I'm not afraid to say that no longer is Jeff Gordon the best road course racer in the history of NASCAR. It's SVG.
Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous how good this guy is on these road courses. And yeah, his only weakness, and it's not even really a weakness like massively, is on the short runs. If there would be a late race restart, that might be where someone could potentially rough him up and get him. But on these long runs, like you said, he is so good at managing his tires. I mean, and when you have the fall off like that and being able to still run relatively close pace with the guys like Larson and those guys that made the extra stop, it's just ridiculous. He gets his 5th win of the year. At this point, he's pretty much, unless something catastrophic happens, he's going to win at a road course. And I don't know, like, you remember back when Chase Elliott was in his dominant days on road courses.
Yep.
It wasn't even this level. So it took, 3 years for people to really catch up to Chase Elliott? How long is it going to take people to catch up to SVG is my question, because it is wildly impressive how good this guy is.
Yeah, and it wasn't even so much Chase Elliott as Hendrick and Gustafson in that previous generation car, the Gen 6 car, found something magical that worked for Chase Elliott. And even though Chase Elliott was winning, right, he wasn't winning by 10, 15 seconds every single time. He was winning by a few seconds, or even sometimes some close finishes with Larson or Truex. So, this is just a totally different planet. And it's like one of those spots where you can't even just use a statistical model because there is no past precedent for this. So you can't use past data to predict the future here because we haven't had past data at this level yet for road courses. And so I'll always do my model for projections or whatever, but it's always going to undervalue SVG, which means it's going to overvalue the rest of the field. And I took that into consideration when I made my bets, and I didn't have that many bets this past weekend. But I mean, he's model breaking. That's what I have to say about that. He's model breaking.
Yeah, I've seen other or some other charts like on Twitter of data on road courses, and the charts are just insane to look at because you have everybody else that's pretty much an even playing field, and then you have SVG in just literally his own stratosphere of just amazingness. And and then the question comes down to, is this good for the sport? And because it definitely has an effect on the playoffs, because all of a sudden you have essentially taken away a chance for a driver to advance in these playoffs if they need a win, because nobody is going to beat SVG, like I said, without something major happening. So now the win and you're into the next round, you only have two chances when a road course is in this. So like, I think it's great. I love seeing greatness. Michael Jordan was great. Kobe Bryant was great. What we see with LeBron James now in basketball is great. Seeing this with SVG, I think is great.
Yep.
But is it an overall net positive for the sport?
No, because of the playoff system. If we didn't have, not that we shouldn't have playoffs or some kind of postseason, but under the current structure, it's not a net positive. Can you imagine if SVG made it out of the round of 16? He'd now be in the round of 8.
Yep.
With one top 10 finish on an oval in his career.
That's the path that we talked about. If he would somehow get in, like all of a sudden, yeah. And is SVG a top 8 contender in this sport? Absolutely not. But that's how these playoffs are. And I don't know.
To his credit, he's getting better. I mean, he had a top 10 at an oval in the round of 12. So I mean, he's absolutely getting better. There's no doubt about that. I think in 2 or 3 years, he could be a guy that's competing for a handful of top 10s at ovals per year. I should say more than a handful, but in terms of at least competing for, not necessarily getting. So, he's improving. He's an amazing driver. He's just still learning the oval craft. And as good as he is, he will learn the oval craft. He will become good at ovals, and he will start producing, I wouldn't, maybe like Juan Pablo Montoya results, where Montoya could hang out in the back half of the top 10, occasionally run near the front half of the top 10. And he never got an oval win, only because he got kind of robbed of one at Indy. But I mean, Montoya had the ability to run inside the top 10 at oval tracks. And I think SVG is going to get to that point. So at that point, then he does become a net positive for the sport. I mean, and especially if there's potential changes to the playoff system, as it sounds like there will be based off of today's talking points from Steve O'Donnell. But I think it's overall not a positive right now in the playoff format, but I think it will be a positive as things change. And this comment here too about making other drivers raise their game on road courses. Absolutely. 100%.
And I think it should, but as of right now, I don't think we're seeing that. He is like, what he did at the end of that race when Larson and Bell and them were on new tires is just unfathomable. Imagine that happening at Darlington, where someone does make the strategy call for extra tires and it just evens out after a couple laps. It's crazy. So I hope that it definitely raises people's game on their road courses. But right now, to me, I feel like SVG is getting even better as he's getting even more used to this car, which is ridiculous considering, he's ran away with these races. Like, I mean, this last one was 15 seconds.
Yep, I agree. And, I think some of the stuff, to be fair, I mean, Larson was ahead of SVG for some of that. And they had a nice battle at one point where SVG was moving Larson and Larson didn't like that, hit him back. And then SVG finally cleanly passed him. So without the extra stop that Bell and Larson made, they probably would have finished within a handful of seconds of him. But, it probably would have been 8 or 10 seconds back instead of 15 seconds back. So, like I said, the strategy of pitting didn't quite work out for them. But yeah, I mean, SVG is so far ahead, but some of these other drivers are starting to raise the game. I mean, I think Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and Chase Briscoe are all probably the next 3 best in road and street courses, just in terms of overall performance this year. Elliott's been really good too. But I think those four are the four that can most immediately take it to SVG. I think Ty Gibbs potentially in the future as well. We've seen some strong performances from him, but still nobody's close to SVG.
No, not at all. A couple other stories out of this race, potential race manipulation from Cole Custer and Alex Bowman. There was some stuff said on the radio, saving your tires for a late restart, and then all of a sudden they stopped passing the guys in front of them. Obviously, we had that points battle between Logano and Chastain in the final laps. Chastain kamikaze the last corner, doing what Chastain does. Ultimately, though, Logano gets in, but just a couple things there, and I think potentially, I haven't seen where NASCAR has said anything about those situations, and I don't think they will, but I think that might be another reason why they're talking, as you said, about changing the playoff format for maybe not next season, but the season after.
Yeah, that, and what we saw last year just now. I also believe Denny Hamlin.
I as well. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, so he said he wasn't aware. I actually believe he was aware, and he was holding position behind Ross, but Ross made such a big mistake in turn 7 that Hamlin, if he just let him go, it would have been so obvious race manipulation that he kind of had to. And he gave Ross a chance, right? He let Ross catch up to him a little bit, but Ross kind of dive bombed him. But essentially, I mean, I actually think Hamlin was holding position, and just Ross made such a big mistake in turn 7 that Hamlin kind of he had to do it. He just had to, because you absolutely want to be facing Ross instead of Joey when it comes to the rest of the playoffs. But I'll say it's actually pretty close because Ross is really good at Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Ross is really good at Vegas, and Joey struggled at the intermediates this year, even though he has 2 Vegas wins in the next gen car. Talladega's Talladega. We all know Joey's favored there, but it's still Talladega. And Martinsville, definitely a nod to Joey there, but anything can happen if you get track position at Martinsville. So yes, Denny Hamlin should have preferred to have Ross in, but it's not as much a slam dunk as you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with the way, we know Penske's going to show up at Phoenix. That's just how it is. But like you said, Ross Chastain is good at Phoenix. He won it last year, didn't he? Or was it the year before?
Yeah, it was the year
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. It was the year. Was it that Ryan Blaney won the championship or something?
Yeah.
But and that's the other thing. Denny Hamlin, he's a master of the game. He's very smart. He knows to say the right things. I wasn't aware, that kind of stuff. Because what else can you say? It's like the same thing where you can't. No longer can you admit to intentionally wrecking a guy. NASCAR has rightly set the precedent of if you admit to right rear hooking somebody or left rear hooking somebody on purpose, that'll be a 1 race suspension if it's at a relatively fast track. So, Denny Hamlin knows the game. I wasn't aware, but I bet he was.
Yeah.
I bet he was.
Yeah. Speaking of Chastain getting eliminated, a big part of that also was his massive mistakes that he made on pit road, speeding, and when he was coming off, he just didn't turn at one point and lost a lot of position. So, he I don't think he has anybody but himself to blame. And if this leads to another Joey Logano championship, I think a lot of fans will riot.
How does Logano keep lucking out into the round of 8? Right, it's crazy. And to Ross's credit, he 100% in the post-race interview took full blame, felt horrible. Yes. And the speeding wasn't even intentionally speeding. He accidentally double-clicked on the shifting to go into a different gear, which caused him to not realize the RPMs that he's supposed to be in for whatever gear are different in another gear in terms of speed. And it caused him to speed. And once he realized it, he slowed down, but it was too late. So, unintentional mistake on the speeding. It wasn't like he was trying to get the most out of the timing loop or whatever and just went a little too far. It was just the accidental misgearing, shifting into a different gear by accident. But that's still a mistake on him. And that's still, possibly the pressure getting to him or whatever. But, and then definitely just not turning left off pit road. So Ross was so much better than Joey, and he threw away his playoff chance, plain and simple. Mm-hmm. And the mistake in turn 7.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I definitely think Hamlin was holding back, and then he just could. It'd be way too obvious. And with this whole lawsuit with NASCAR too, they're going to try to make a point. But switching gears a little bit here, one guy that had an awful race, and this is the second time, at least in these playoffs, that the 24 team and William Byron looked completely lost. They were not good.
It's because I picked them in 36 for 36.
Right. That's I was saying I bet him and you had him 36 for 36. Yeah. Do you think there's a cause for concern here with this team? Because he won at Iowa.
Track he's always been so good at too.
I know. He won at Iowa, dominated it. He hasn't done anything since.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know what's going on with that team. I was definitely expecting more, and he looked really good in flags again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times is he going to look really good in flags in the playoffs and then look horrible in the race? And when I say horrible, right, like a back half top 10, high teens car, but that relative to like a 5th place flags or something, that's not what you expect. It's very strange from William Byron. I don't know what's going on there, but they ran 3rd at New Hampshire. That was the good run. But everywhere else, they've been mediocre. And right now, the strongest part of their game apparently is short flats.
It's weird. I am curious to see how he looks this weekend. If you remember back to the first Vegas race, Byron had one of the best cars in that race.
Yeah.
So I am curious to see.
And the race I went to where first race last year at Vegas, where he got the world's largest trash bag, like sucked into his radiator, which had a beer can in it, which like craziness. But add another race to the track history. Might not be the most important thing in the world again, because William Byron's been so good here. And remember, he was always been so bad at New Hampshire, and that's the best finish, the best he ran in the playoffs. It's ass backwardness with how these things are going, right? And I mean, Tyler Reddick, he got the pole, but he wasn't very good. You'd expect Tyler Reddick to be really good here. It was strange for some of these drivers that Chase Elliott finishing back half the top 10, just kind of ran mediocre all day as well. AJ Allmendinger, I expected more from him. Their strategy was, they did the extra stop. They did it even sooner than like Larson and Bell. Not a great strategy. So we're getting into bizarro land with track history.
Yeah. Allmendinger also got dumped on the last lap, I think by Suarez or Priest.
Yeah. But I'm saying he wasn't even running well anyway. He was 8th or 9th at the time anyway. And again, another driver that was really fast in practice, flags, all that stuff, long run speed. And then he ran inside the top half of top 5 or even on the lead for some of it because of strategy. Mm-hmm. But their final stage strategy was awful. And it didn't work out for him at all.
And I think that car just fell off quite a bit too.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I was very happy with my bet on him for a top 5 at plus 210. And Same. He just fell off. So, but yeah, like you said, overall though, the top 5 are some of the best road course racers. SVG, Larson, Bell, Buescher, McDowell. So
absolutely
solid run by McDowell there. Solid run by Buescher. I mean, typically he doesn't qualify well, and then he makes his way to the front. He was top 5 all day.
Yeah, and Suarez, for example, 7th. I mean, we know Suarez is a good road course racer, and he got a good result, a 7th place finish, which is kind of what we expect from Daniel Suarez at road and street courses in the next gen car.
Yep. I will say I am kicking myself because Buescher was still even money for a top 10 after his qualifying effort, and I didn't bet it. And I my rule. My rule with Buescher.
I know your rule.
I was so
that was the one bet I won. I was so happy.
And I had him earlier in the week, so I did have some. Yeah. But my post qualifying practice was Byron. It was I want Byron plus 120 top 10. That's my bet. And I didn't do Buescher. It was frustrating. I said after the race, I'm going to take a little break from betting on this sport, which we all know isn't going to happen. But that was a frustrating race for me. It's been a frustrating last few weeks, but it is what it is. It's
same. Like I said, I only had like one losing week, like one significantly losing week since Memorial Day or whatever, the weekend before Memorial Day. until the past 2 weeks. Now I've had 2 straight losing weeks, although it was still only like -1 point,
Right.
6 or 4 units this week. It was not the like minus 0.05 units or whatever, but I've either been break even or positive every week except once until the last 2 weeks since Memorial Day weekend.
So going into this round of 12, you and I both had Cindric, Chastain, and Reddick out. All those 3 did get eliminated. I had Byron getting out in the round of 12. You had Logano. Obviously, Logano squeaked by over Chastain. Or Chastain, over Chastain.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we went 3 for 4, but the round of 8 is set and it is loaded. We got Hamlin, Blaney, Larson, and Byron all to the good heading into the start of the round of 8, and then Bell, Elliott, Briscoe, Logano, the other 4. Elliott, Briscoe, and Logano all quite a point disadvantage heading into the start of this round. Elliott and Briscoe -14, Logano's -24. Everything else pretty close. But I think overall we have a very solid final 8 heading into this round.
Yeah, I think this might be, and again, Stevie said this on Running Hot, might be the strongest round of 8 we've ever had. And even if you took out any of these drivers and replaced them with Reddick or Bubba Wallace, I would say the same thing. This is an absolutely loaded round of 8. And, you know, it's kind of a bummer that both Reddick and Bubba Wallace got eliminated because, I mean, they were 2 of the top 10 drivers absolutely throughout the balance of the year. But it's a stacked round of 8, and it's a lot of people's brackets are probably still intact if you took these 8 drivers, or I should say, given these 8 drivers, because I think a lot of people did take these 8 drivers to make the round of 8. It's tight. I mean, anybody can make the final 4 from this group of 8.
Yeah, I was looking at it before, and like I know. I didn't go back and pull who we picked at the start, and I need to do that. I didn't have it written down for some reason, but I'm looking at this and I'm looking at these upcoming races, and I honestly sitting here, you could give me 10 minutes to try to figure out who's in the final 4, and I don't have a solid final 4 even right now.
I don't either. I gave mine on Running Hot, my final 4, and I'll give the same one here, but it's. I don't feel amazing about it. Right.
Yeah, because we both know that anything can happen, especially, I mean, we saw it here at Vegas last year with Logano and that type of stuff, even though, Bell had the best car last year. Martinsville, anything can happen, and Talladega, anything can happen. So
we saw earlier this year, Josh Berry won at Vegas, just because of a strategy play. I mean, anything can happen at Vegas with the strategy play. Talladega, obviously anyone can win. And Martinsville, if you get track position at the right time and it's impossible to pass, you might just coast to a victory. I don't know.
Yeah. So now I'm curious, who's your final 4?
Yeah. So I have Christopher Bell in my final 4. Not changing off that. I have Denny Hamlin making it through. Although I'm a little worried about Talladega and honestly a little worried about Martinsville. He hasn't been amazing at Martinsville other than his win earlier this year in the next gen car from what I recall. So it little sketchy about Martinsville, but he's not bad. Actually, if we look at all the playoff Martinsvilles, he's amazing. It's the spring Martinsvilles he's been terrible, which is what I'm remembering, right? Aside from this earlier spring Martinsville. But last year, Martinsville 11th. The year before that, Martinsville 4th, which is good. But the year before that, 28th, and he was out to lunch. But the spring Martinsville, he's been really good. 5th, 3rd, and 5th, with 2 of those being most laps led. So, yeah, I think Hamlin through, but I'm a little concerned about Talladega and just a little concerned about Martinsville, not a ton. I have Kyle Larson through. Vegas is obviously just an amazing track for him. So those are the top 3 I have. And then I'm going to differ from my original final 4 of, I remember I had Briscoe in there. I'm going to put Ryan Blaney in there. He's just solid everywhere. And Martinsville's such a elite track for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong there. So you're saying Byron, Elliott, Logano, and Briscoe out.
Yeah, and we talked about Byron, the struggles he's had. And I just think Elliott, Briscoe, and Logano, given the strength of these guys ahead of them, they either need a win or they need these guys to have problems at Talladega.
Right. I agree with that. I think I'm gonna join you there on Bell getting in. I think that's pretty solid. By the way, I think he's still like 5-1 to win the championship.
Yep.
Yeah,
my cash out at FanDuel is for like $1 less than I bet on him, which is stupid because I bet on him at $6.50, and now he's like $4 something at FanDuel, and the cash out offer is like $1 less than the amount I put on him, and I put a pretty large amount on him.
Interesting. I'm gonna go Larson. I'm gonna go. I think Briscoe gets in. I'm sticking with Briscoe.
Nice.
Give me Briscoe, and we all know a Penske guy's getting in there. Is it going to be Logano or Blaney? I want to say Logano to be different, but I am going to go. I'm going to go Blaney. So 3 of the 4, same with you. I'm going Bell, Larson, Blaney, Briscoe. 3 B's and an L. But I could see all 8 of these guys. Yep, I could see all 8 of these guys advancing.
I want Hamlin to make the Final Four because I want him to have a shot at a championship that he's tried so hard for years to get. Mm-hmm. Even if he doesn't get it, it would just be cool to see him have another shot at it.
And I feel like that would be like a storybook year, this whole lawsuit that's going on, and then he goes out and wins a championship.
Yeah, it really would be. Nice middle finger to NASCAR.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it. We got our 2 Final Four projections. You got anything else for these playoffs before we dig into Vegas?
Let's see. I think it's interesting that SVG is currently 12th in the points. He's not sitting there 16th out of the, because the top 16, the 16 original playoff drivers will finish 1 through 16. I think it's interesting that SVG is up to 12th. He's had horrendous finishes in the playoffs until the last 2 races of Kansas and Roval, yet somehow he's still 12th. That's just bonkers.
How are those calculated? The rest of them, like the rest of these points.
Oh, it's just normal. Like, so take your, once you get eliminated, you drop to 2,000 plus whatever you've accumulated in the playoff races. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's so funny because SVG has finished 32nd, 25th, 22nd, 26th, 32nd, and then 10th and 1st. So like it looks horrible, but the guys behind them have been horrible too. Alex Bowman has been horrible in the playoffs. Austin Cindric has 0 stage points in the playoffs and a best finish of 12th. Austin Dillon sucks, and Josh Berry wrecked out of like the first 3 playoff races in last place, and wrecked in Kansas as well. So like somehow SVG is 12th in points, but then there's like a pretty solid like 30-point gap to Ross Chastain for 11th in points, which I think is pretty funny. I'm very interested to see how Reddick, Bubba, and Ross finish relative to whoever gets eliminated in the round of 8, because I mean, those 3 drivers have been solid this year, especially Bubba and Reddick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's interesting with SVG, he's 30 points behind Chastain, but he's also 32 points ahead of Bowman, just to put into perspective how bad Bowman's been.
Getting a win, like a massive win for SVG, though, helps. Like without the win at the Roval, he's, right in line with Bowman. And I think they'll all get a chance to catch up to him at Vegas. Maybe. I don't know. Honestly, though, SVG just got a top 10 at Kansas. Vegas is like sister track. Mm-hmm. Talladega, anything can happen. And SVG is really good at Martinsville.
Yep.
Like SVG might actually finish inside the top 12 in points.
I am so excited to see what he does next season. If he improves a bunch, I think it's going to be fun. Here's a question for you. 2 drivers have 5 wins this year, SVG and Denny Hamlin.
Yep.
Does Denny Hamlin get a 6th win and win the win championship this year? Or does Bell get 2 more wins and jump up to 6? Or is SVG going to end this season tied for the most wins in the Cup Series?
I think he ends up tied for the most wins. I don't have Denny Hamlin winning this weekend, although he will be a strong contender, obviously. I've got probably Blaney winning Martinsville. Anybody can win Talladega. I could see Larson grabbing Vegas and another race and tying them with 5. So I actually think, SVG ends up tied most wins.
I think it's more likely that Bell gets 2 wins and passes Hamlin and SVG than Hamlin wins a race. One of these final 4.
I would agree with that, but it's pretty close. I mean, Hamlin's been so strong, like I said, at Vegas, at playoff Martinsville especially, but Bell has been just monstrous at Phoenix and Vegas and Martinsville. So, and in the next gen car, Bell and Hamlin have been pretty equal. Maybe even a slight nod to Bell, honestly. It's just that car can't take a push in the draft right now.
Yep. All right, we are on to Vegas for the 2nd time this season. You remember back in March, it was an interesting race. Kyle Larson had a very strong car, led 61 laps. Austin Cindric was really good that day. Ryan Blaney was coming up through the field till he got wrecked, but it ended up with Josh Berry in victory lane. There were some weird strategy plays in that race. The top 3 was Berry, Suarez, and Preece. And then we had Byron Chastain in the top 5.
Jordan, I was joking. I'm running hot. If you had Josh Berry to win parlayed with Suarez and Preece top 3, that would have been $1 million parlay for $13.
Right? Like a crazy. And I want to attribute that maybe because I was there. Crazy stuff tends to happen.
That's right.
Lately when I go to races, because I was at Michigan last year when who was it that flipped? I was at Vegas. Vegas last year when there was a flip. So weird things have been happening lately. But
I've been to like countless NASCAR races, and I've only been to one flip race, and that was Watkins Glen, where
that's a crazy one.
What was it, David Rudiman or Reagan? One of the two. One of the Davids ended up on their lid.
Interesting.
Of all places, Watkins Glen.
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah. Did you enjoy going to this is a little tangent, but did you enjoy Watkins Glen? I don't know.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Really?
Yes. Okay. I loved it.
Where'd you stay? Were you on pit road?
Went to the Xfinity race and the Cup race, obviously, for the whole weekend. I camped. It was awesome. I had a dude with one tooth camping next to me who was a clear degenerate alcoholic, and at like 2 a.m. was screaming on his phone about how somebody owed him money, and had a rough night sleeping because of that. 2-3 a.m, the dude's screaming, but the next morning he apologizes and just gifts me a case of Budweiser. So that was awesome. And that was fun. I was
gonna say that story started out as not awesome, but looks like it had a good turn there at the end.
It was hilarious. Yeah, no, I mean, he was a nice dude. He was just kind of off his rocker and clearly on meth, right? Like with one tooth and just as messed up as he was. But it was fun. I stayed, where turn 1 is at the end of the straightaway. I stayed up in the grandstands there for the Xfinity race. And for the Cup race, I believe it was on the infield side of that same spot. But like practice and qualifying, I wandered around, checked all the different sites, and did standing room at the bus stop, for example. So really enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, I just don't know if I'd enjoy going to a road course or not, but I it's on my list, and I think if I'm going to go to one, it's going to be Watkins Glen. I think that'd be cool. But
I'd go to Sonoma just for the wine country, not for the racing. Right? That's right.
Shout out
actually, I need to go grab another beer. I saw you just turn your camera off. I need to go grab another beer because I'm almost out of my Coors Banquet here. Not Coors Light, Coors Banquet.
Nice. But yeah, so heading into Vegas this weekend, which I thought's interesting with the well, it's not awful, but so like the schedule goes now: Vegas, West Coast to Talladega in the south, Martinsville Northeast, back to Phoenix in the south. Again, I was like looking at like how the trucks have to go and everything. But Larson the favorite, along with Christopher Bell, they're co-favorites over at FanDuel. Like I said, Bell arguably had the best car, probably definitely had the best car in this race last year. Larson always good here, 2 wins in the 7 next-gen races. Byron also has a win here in the next-gen era. Logano has 2 wins, as you said, in the next-gen era. Josh Berry and Alex Bowman, the other winners. So Hendrick, 4 of the 7 wins at Las Vegas in the next-gen era. I think we're both on board with Larson and Bell being the favorites. You have anybody else up there that should be a strong contender?
Larson, Hamlin, and Bell, right?
Yep.
It's those 3. But given the weirdness with track history lately, if that brings Larson a little bit closer to the pack, becomes kind of wide open. And Larson wasn't the most amazing at Kansas. He finished 6th. He probably deserved a even further back finish, right? Those 5 Toyotas caused Elliott to win, and Elliott had new tires. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen Logano be really good at Vegas in the playoffs, especially. We've seen Bubba Wallace be really good at Las Vegas. If you remember the race, he wrecked Kyle Larson and got his suspension. I believe that was at Vegas, and they were running like 4th and 5th. Bubba Wallace has had so much speed. Race I went to last year, the first Vegas race where Byron got the world's largest trash bag. He was a top 3 car, but had the issue. But Reddick was easily the second best, if not the best car over Larson. If he had a few more laps, he would have passed Larson. So, and that's where we saw Spire really start to take off at intermediates. Remember Corey LaJoie and Carson Hocevar ran really well. And then we've seen McDowell, Hocevar, et cetera, win poles this year at these 1.5 mile tracks. So I'm not saying they're favorites to win or anything. I'm just pointing out how, the field is closing on Larson a little bit.
Yeah, you mentioned Kansas, which is obviously the sister track of Vegas, and Toyota was by far the best organization at Kansas. Chevrolet was the best organization here at Vegas earlier this year. They've also been pretty much the best organization on intermediates this year. This is where it becomes a little difficult to handicap because we get both sides of there's no consistency of who's great with Kansas being so recent and Toyota being so good. Is that enough to overpower what the Chevrolets have done this year? And obviously Blaney had one of the best cars here at Vegas, despite being in the field or deep in the field for most of the race in the spring as well. So it's one of those weekends, like you said. I think it's a lot closer than a lot of these odds say, but I also have no interest in betting a winner right now until we see practice and qualifying this weekend. And it's also It's a later race on Sunday. Maybe not for Vegas time, but as far as East Coast time, this race doesn't start till 5:30.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet Tyler Reddick at 15-1. Fine with 14-1 as well. And a lot of it comes from his track history and then what we saw at Kansas. Those 2311 cars were so much better at Kansas than they've been in the last year and a half or so. But they've been even better at Vegas lately. And Toyota, like you said, as a whole was awesome at Kansas. And Reddick has been awesome at Vegas. So I took him. A lot of it was because we recorded Running Hot, right? And I don't want to have 0 picks for Running Hot, but I actually did like the Reddick bet. So I bet Reddick to win, but overall, I'm trying to keep it really small on my bets until we see practice and qualifying.
Mm-hmm. But there are some interesting. I was a little surprised, but also not because we talked about him, and his struggles in his playoffs. But Alex Bowman's pretty good here, and his top 10 at DraftKings right now is plus 140.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I want to not bet much, but when I see something like that, I want to.
Damn it, Jordan! You're going to make me bet it, aren't you?
I think I need to bet it. I think we need to bet it, right? I mean, he's a previous winner here.
The problem is he's been dog shit in the playoffs.
And the question is he testing? And is that going to affect him? But
I'm checking a couple other books as well. Let's see. Bowman plus 120 at bet 365. Just looking at Hard Rock as well. Probably
it's one of those.
Similar.
It's one of those where I immediately looked at it and I'm like, this makes no sense. This is an immediate bet. If I was more confident in myself right now, it would be an immediate bet. But I'm still sitting here on the fence.
140 at Hard Rock as well. Yeah, my big pause, of course, is wasn't very good at Kansas and has looked like dog shit in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one I like. That Allmendinger, top 10, plus 600.
I was going to say, I really like Allmendinger this weekend. He's been so good at intermediates, at high wear, at steeps, and Vegas is kind of all of those. So, yeah, I could get behind Allmendinger for a top 10 as well.
As far as outrights, you said you bet Reddick 15-1, which I like. I think in this first race at Vegas this year, he had the most fastest laps.
And he ran the fastest lap. He's been so fast at Vegas, so fast.
Yeah. Any long shots? Maybe like a Josh Berry-esque type of guy you like this week?
Keselowski at 50.
That's not awful. You remember Kez did have a really good car here in the spring. I think he wrecked out or something happened to him.
And at Kansas, he lost. He popped a tire while he was running down Kyle Larson. He passed Kyle Larson for second and was running down Chase Elliott for the lead. Elliott was on some kind of alternate strategy or something, and his tire blew. Keselowski was probably going to win that race at 50-1, and I bet him 50-1 at Circa.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I'm not convinced that a playoff driver that it's going to be a playoff driver that wins this one either. I could see Bubba winning. Yeah. I could see Reddick winning it. Like
I could see Busch.
We just talked. We just talked about how strong this final 8 of the playoffs is, but at the same time, like you said, I think this is wide open.
I agree, which is weird to say about Vegas, but it's where we are.
Exactly.
It's the lie right now.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned Buescher. He's plus 140 for a top 10 on FanDuel.
What about like Ty Gibbs is 55-1, and he was one of the best Vegas cars. The race I went to that year as well. He was a top 3 or 5 car first Vegas race last year.
I have no faith in betting Ty Gibbs to win.
Nobody does, but my point is, like,
yeah,
he's shown flashes. He's shown flashes, and he's 55-1 at this very track. He's shown flashes, and we just saw Toyota kick ass at Kansas.
Yeah, I keep kind of forgetting about that.
But Ty Gibbs was pretty bad at Kansas of the Toyotas.
I feel so awful every time I bet Ty Gibbs.
Me too.
It is disgusting.
It really is. I don't remember what I was doing. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. I don't remember what I was doing. I was going to look up something about Ty Gibbs, but I forgot what. But yeah, 55. Oh, I was going to look up circa odds on him. Yeah, I turned 42 later this month. Good old 42. Circa's not loading for me. Come on, man. What in the heck? Jeffrey Benson, fix your app. Okay, actually, I got it. Brad Keselowski at Circa is 55-1, and Ty Gibbs is 50. So you can get, if you have Circa, you can get Kez at 55, and then if you have DraftKings, you can get Ty Gibbs at 55. And Hocevar at 55 at DraftKings.
My mouse just died. That's fun.
That's not fun at all.
What do we think about someone like a Ross Chastain?
Oh, no, I mean, he's another one. And Stevie talked about this on Running Hot. This car for Ross Chastain was already prepped as if he was going to make the round of 8, right?
Yep.
He's 25-1 at Caesars. I don't hate that, but like, I just don't want to overload myself with a bunch of long shots and then, find out that just Hamlin, Bell, and Larson are like 500 seconds faster than everybody in practice.
Right. And it's something with this, like this fall race at Vegas. I just always think of Denny Hamlin. Really? I don't know why. Yeah. I think it's because it was one of the races. I was in Vegas for the race. I got too drunk and I passed out during the race, or like at the start of it. And then I woke up, and this is when I hated Denny Hamlin. And I woke up and it was Hamlin winning. And back then it was whenever Hamlin has a good race, I have a bad race. Because I just always faded him. Yeah. But I think that's like forever ingrained in my head, and that's why. I'm pulling up Chastain's record here at Vegas. 5th, 7th, 4th, 5th. Last 4 races at Las Vegas. Next gen era, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5s in 7 races at this track.
Yeah, he's really good here. It's just like he hasn't seemed to win a lot at Vegas.
Yeah, and it's always when he wins, it's kind of like, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but like, his Kansas win was not really expected. His Charlotte win this year wasn't super expected.
Yeah.
It's one of those things with Chastain where it's almost better to bet him live than it is to bet him early week.
Yeah.
But like I could get on board.
He won the one Vegas race. 10. And then like, I think of Chastain, I think of Logano at playoff Vegas. Like those are the two I think of.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Chastain never won a Vegas race?
Sorry. Yeah. But I still think of him because he's so good at Vegas and Kansas.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, he led the most laps, like you said, in 2022. And he's finished top 5 in a whole bunch of them at Vegas. Led the most laps in both Vegas races in 2022. 5th in 2023 in the playoff one. 4th and 7th last year. 5th this year in the first one. Like, it's crazy. But then again, like I said, look at Joey Logano at Vegas in the playoffs. He's a monster here. I don't know what it is, but 2 wins out of 3 starts in the playoffs in the next gen era at Las Vegas. And it's funny because in the spring he's pretty bad, like 14th, 36th, 9th, and 15th. And remember, Penske used to just be so good at Las Vegas, like in the Gen 6 car. 2019 and 2020, for example, Logano won a couple of Vegas races in the spring. Penske used to be so good at Vegas. So like, I also think of Vegas as like an old Penske playground, not like these days, but an old Penske playground.
I think I just found a bet that we need to hammer.
What did you find as I pulled my phone out?
Ross Chastain top 10 plus 115.
That's one Stevie gave out on the podcast.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Hard Rock?
Hard Rock. I'm all aboard on that.
All right, let's go. Yeah, I didn't deep dive into Ross's stats here, but I mean,
I'm in. Yeah, I can't pass that up. I took what was it? What is this? It's Wednesday. Monday. I took 2 days off from betting NASCAR. I'm back.
Jordan found his bet. And that's the thing. We can still feel good about Ross because he hasn't been dog shit like Alex Bowman has in the playoffs. Finished 11th at Kansas.
Exactly. That's where I'm on the fence with Bowman. Chastain, I'm all in.
Yeah, you're in. What is I'm just looking around. Just checking on my books here. I was kind of limited at Hard Rock on a top 10 bet, which is annoying. That's the first time that's happened to me. It's minus 125 at bet 365. So yeah, I couldn't even get a full unit down at Hard Rock on Ross Chastain. Top 10. Not ideal.
Hard Rock's one of those books that gets super conservative once you hit them once.
But I can still get huge amounts down at NFL. Obviously not like monstrous, but I my normal NFL unit size, I can get that down no problem. I guess they think I'm some kind of NASCAR amazingness person.
All right, you got what else you got for Vegas? Got anything else?
Let's see. Spire cars to win a pole. Maybe we should, consider later in the week, but I'm not running to the window to slam it or anything.
Right.
That's about it.
I'm not sure qualifying odds are even up yet, but
yeah, and actually, I think if I look at this, let me look at the schedule here. It might be such a massive advantage to go late in qualifying. I don't know when. Oh yeah, qualifying's no, I lied. It's 2:40 Vegas time. Shouldn't really matter for qualifying in terms of heat of the day. Well, I guess it is later we're later in the year and the sun's going down a little earlier. Qualifying order won't be monstrously advantageous to go late, but it certainly won't hurt to go late. I think. You
remember,
I don't know.
If our listeners remember, this was the race earlier in the season, I believe, that you dug into the weather pattern projected for the race and what it would do to the average speed.
I had this nailed. I was even looking at barometric pressure, things like that. I had it absolutely nailed. But Caesars has bitched out on offering mile per hour of fastest lap since we destroyed them earlier this year, and then they just stopped offering that.
And DraftKings also stopped offering most fastest laps, which was early in the season my favorite thing to bet because they were not pricing it correctly at all.
No, they weren't.
Good old sports books, their decisions. All right, picks to win. Your turn to go first. We both had SVG last weekend, so we both got our 5th predicted win of the season. Average finish over 32 races. Am I counting the All-Star race in here? 32 races. Me, 12.47. You, 12.48. We are razor thin here. Who's your pick to win at Las Vegas 2?
I think I have to take it from the Toyota camp just because of how good they were at Kansas, and they've always been good at Vegas. It's just which Toyota do I take?
Right.
It's not that I don't trust Bell, but weird shit happens to him, man.
Mm-hmm.
I could play it safe with Denny, or I could go aggressive with Briscoe or Reddick. I think I'm going to go Denny Hamlin.
I figured that was going to be it. Denny Hamlin, solid pick there. Obvious previous Las Vegas winner, and solid on the 1.5 miles this year. Going into this episode, I'm with you. Toyota, I think Toyota's going to take it. And going into this episode, I had full intention. Chase Briscoe. I know this is a Truex shirt, but it's still 19. I'm going Bell for the fourth time in these playoffs. I'm going Christopher Bell. I am willing your bet for the championship. I'm getting him into Phoenix early, letting that.
Are you
team
Jordan
rest.
jinxing him?
No, because my picks haven't been awful this year. I've only had one pick to win outside the top 17 in the last.
Yeah. Do you remember it was like 2 or 3 years ago?
13 races.
Without fail, it was Jordan Jinx and Doc blocked.
Oh yeah.
Like
every week.
Anything we did was Jordan Jinx and Doc blocked.
And I was to the point back then that my DFS lineups would reflect those like what we picked. I would purposely go underweight on those guys.
Yeah. So weird.
Craziness. All right. I got Bell. You got Hamlin heading into Vegas. 36 for 36.
We're already locked in. We're already locked and loaded in terms of you with the number 4 at Talladega and the number 20 at Phoenix. And I'm locked and loaded with the number 35 at Talladega, Riley Herbst, because where the hell else am I going to play Riley Herbst? He
did finish 22nd here at Vegas earlier this year. He had a top 20 at Kansas, I believe.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're not searching for top 20s win this game.
Who finished 6th here earlier this year?
Ryan Preece? No. 6th. Austin Cindric.
Yeah, guess who I still have left.
There we go.
But I also have AJ Allmendinger left strategically. So it's, do I use Cindric or do I use Allmendinger? Because I'm using the other one at Martinsville. Or maybe I'm using Blaney at Martinsville. I don't know. But I'm using Blaney at either Martinsville or Phoenix.
Right. Yeah.
So it comes down to who do I use at Martinsville, Phoenix, and Vegas between the 12, the 2, and the 16. And it's not the 12 this weekend. So it's either the 2 or the 16. I don't really fancy Allmendinger at Phoenix. So that means it's either
Martinsville
or here. Austin Cindric, I don't think I really fancy him at Phoenix either, which almost pigeonholes Blaney into Phoenix, even though I love Blaney at Martinsville. I'm just looking at Austin Cindric at Phoenix. He hasn't been bad. 11th and 13th in the championship races and a 35th. Austin Cindric at Martinsville in the playoffs, 9th and 4th. So I could do Blaney at Phoenix, Cindric at Martinsville,
Allmendinger at Vegas,
and AJ Allmendinger at Las Vegas.
There we go. If you remember back to Kansas 2 weeks ago, I was debating between Chase Elliott and Zane Smith, and while I was happy with my Zane Smith pick because he did have a top 10 car, he had good speed. Obviously, Chase Elliott won that race, and I missed out on a bunch of points.
And Zane ended up wrecking in one of those crashes or something.
Yep, and he flipped. That's the Jordan.
That's right. That's right. There. Yeah.
So now it comes down to: do I want to use Chase Elliott at Las Vegas or Chase Briscoe? And then the other one I'm going to use at Martinsville.
It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I'm going Briscoe this week and Chase Elliott at Martinsville.
Makes sense.
And then obviously I saved my my Bell pick for Phoenix.
There we go.
Yeah, so our last 4 races are determined unless we decide to randomly change them. But
I'm definitely not changing Riley Herbst. It would only come down to if I flip Cindric and Blaney.
Yep. So this week I have Chase Briscoe. You have AJ Allmendinger in the second Las Vegas race. Heading into the race, I have a 108-point lead on you for the season.
Yeah. No, you're destroying me. Second year in a row, just kicking my ass in this format. I
will say though that if you look at the last 10 races, I have 4 races where my driver got 8 points or less.
Yeah, you have a 251 and I have only 188 points over those races. You had much bigger ups as well. You've had a lot of ups and downs. Mm-hmm. I've just been consistently mediocre.
That's a decent way to put it. For sure.
Yeah. It's like Survivor. Like I've never really done NFL Survivor. I'm doing it this year as part of an invitational thing for people that do NFL content. I have one of my 3 entries left. I've never been a long-term format type of person.
And that probably explains why you're so good at DFS, because it's not the long-term.
Yeah, or betting or DFS, that kind of stuff. I'm so much better in what's going to happen now. Instead of, I could be really good at Survivor. I could be really good at 36 for 36, but for me, that requires more planning, more mathematical planning and stuff. And I just kind of seat in my pants. Just here's what I got.
Yep. No, speaking of Survivor, I'm usually I'm one of those guys that's usually out week 1 or 2 every year. I'm still alive in my local pool.
Nice.
Knock on wood.
Nice.
I had the Colts this last weekend and they destroyed the Raiders. So
yeah, the Colts are one I've been slow to get behind. But also this past weekend, I couldn't just not take Detroit against the Bengals. Bengals might be the worst team in the NFL other than the Titans.
I would argue that the Vikings are pretty close up there, but that's just my
the Vikings are fine. Vikings are fine. Vikings are fine. Let me pull up my luck rankings here and see what we got on the Vikings. But I guess we got to do DraftKings.
Yep. Getting that ready now.
We'll log in.
All right. There we go. Larson, the highest priced driver this week at 11.5. Bell, Hamlin, both above 11,000. Got Blaney at 10.5. This is my first time looking at this, so I'm kind of just doing an initial reaction here. This seems pretty decently priced from what I can tell. Bubba Wallace at 82 seems a little low. Priest down there seems a little low. Allmendinger, decent value at 66. Zane at 58. You know, a lot of these weeks that Zane Smith is your bottom guy. Justin Haley could be valuable there at 53. Same with Stenhouse at 54.
Nah, Minnesota's fine. They're not even close to the worst team in the NFL.
Okay. What was it, 2 weeks ago when they were just flat out awful, plus against Atlanta, Just annoying.
Yeah, for sure. But I like the pricing on DraftKings, like you were saying. It's not awful at all.
Yeah, I think this is like obviously qualifying
really
hasn't happened yet, but this is good pricing by DraftKings.
Yeah, sure.
Kudos to them.
Yeah. I don't really have an argument. I don't think there's an auto play in here just from a pricing standpoint.
No. Usually, there's one or two drivers a week where we're both like, okay, it makes
sense. Maybe
no
Bubba Wallace. Maybe Bubba Wallace.
Yep.
That's it. Like when you're trying to find one driver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm up first, huh?
Yep.
Shit. Shit. I don't think I can type for that. Give me Denny Hamlin. Give me Tyler Reddick.
I figured you were going to go Reddick. That's a pretty solid value at 92. Going Toyota.
Ty Gibbs.
Oh, boy.
Austin Cindric.
Hocevar. Or Priest.
It could be Hocevar, Priest, or Dinger, or Suarez, honestly, or SVG. The way SVG ran at Kansas, it could be.
I was saying, I can't believe we're talking SVG at a intermediate.
I actually think, based off qualifying, I don't want to go Hocevar.
I was just about to say that. You read my mind.
So I'm gonna go Ryan Priest.
Yep, he tends to just qualify like shit almost every week.
Yeah.
Bang. Hamlin, Reddick, Bubba, Gibbs, Cindric, Priest.
Didn't even need to dip down into the shit box tier.
Right? That's pretty good. I think I'm going to end up dipping down into the shit box tier.
Yeah, I mean, getting those dominator points is important, but I think I can get down with Reddick and possibly Gibbs or Wallace.
Yep. All right. Now I have to not go Denny just because you did. You went with him.
Right. All right.
So
look, I hold on, timeout. Finish my Luvabella mimosa. This is a sad day.
Oh,
sad day.
Oh, that's like your last one?
Yeah, that's my last one.
I can ship you some. I got a bunch here.
Nice.
I loaded up on that shit. I love that. All right. Okay. I'm going to start like I typically do with the lower price guys. So I'm going to go Zane Smith.
Yeah. I mean, that's a solid pick.
And then I'm going to throw Allmendinger on there for now.
Like that too.
I believe in Bowman. So I'm going to go Bowman here. Give me man, Logano's over.
See, I believe in Bowman just as much as I believe in Ty Gibbs, and Ty Gibbs is cheaper.
That's a valid point. I might switch my Bowman depending on how this ends up. I'm going to go Bell, Blaney. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, if I go... Man.
Right?
This is tough.
Tough week.
It's tough to get two dominators up front.
Right. They priced it well. That's why I only did Hamlin as like a big dollar.
Uh-huh. Man, they did good this week. Okay. Give me. Man, I don't know what I want to do.
I was about to play the Jeopardy theme song.
I know, right? Like,
we were just sitting there in silence.
Give me. I'm gonna go Byron Blaney Briscoe. Priest Allmendinger Zane. Actually, I'm gonna cut Zane. I'm gonna go Jones or Nemechek. Give me a coin.
Ooh, yeah.
Eric Jones, heads or tails?
Jones tails.
It's heads, so we're going Nemechek.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I'm going Briscoe, Byron Blaney, Priest, Allmendinger, Nemechek. Final answer.
Yeah. Very solid.
Final answer. All right. Anything else for Las Vegas?
Real quick, we need to talk about NASCAR going 750 horsepower on the tracks less than a mile and a half.
Yep.
And obviously road courses as well. So
do we think this is going to make a big difference?
No.
Yeah.
You know what's going to make more of a difference? A new car. And more horsepower and less tire contact patch width. And I'm not. So I was talking to Jim Sonis of FanDuel about this, and he said about the gear ratio. I think the horsepower may solve a little bit of the gear ratio issue as well, just because of the way you're getting on and off power from the higher horsepower. But there's other things that need to be addressed. The aerodynamics of this car, the contact patch of the tires, and then, of course, Steve O'Donnell's answers about the playoff. What is the status of the playoffs and stuff? And I think that was all pretty important there. He said nothing will be announced. Nothing announced before the end of the season. The current playoff format potentially hurts star power. Doesn't like that people talk about the playoffs when someone wins the Daytona 500. NASCAR needs the drivers to buy into the format. It says NASCAR cannot have a format in place to bring in new fans at the expense of existing fans. So this sounds to me
that there's no way
there's
that this
going to be an
format exists next year. Yes.
Yeah. There may be a playoffs, but it won't be in this format.
Absolutely not. Those words are too direct and pointed. There is going to be a completely new playoffs next year. And as far as the 70-50 horsepower, I think this is to appease the fans. But as far as the result, I'm with you. I don't think it's going to make a difference.
It might make a little bit of difference, but I mean, largely, I don't think it will. But hopefully, it's a stepping stone to future increases in horsepower, because I mean, Denny has said it. Some of the team owners, some of the team owners have said it. Like, the horsepower increase isn't a monetary issue right now. So, and the engine manufacturers even said it, and they're trying to recruit a fourth OEM into the Cup Series. They got Dodge for trucks, but NASCAR wouldn't be doing this horsepower increase if they thought it would hurt bringing in a fourth OEM, and they don't think it is, which tells me that it's not really a monetary issue. They're just approaching it slowly, and I hope it leads to further changes, but I wish NASCAR would sometimes just take a big old swing. But I've seen responses like, "Oh, we'll just get rid of stages and everything's fixed." No, that's not true. Because
nothing is a one simple thing fix.
And the issue with the contact patch of the tires is we've gone to a single lug, and so to support that, you need a wider tire width because of that. And we're not going to move away from single lug. That's just how it's going to be. So, the tire width will have to come with a redo of the car. So we're going to need a new car, and the aerodynamics as well, and all that stuff. Like I think this is like you said, a little bone for the fans on the horsepower with an eye toward we need a new car and we know that. And hopefully we can have higher horsepower with the new car with some other things going on as well.
Yeah, this is a little band-aid because especially
NASCAR's in panic mode. They're in panic mode with these TV ratings.
These ratings are fucking awful.
Yeah.
Again.
When you're pulling on par with IndyCar, that's not good.
I'll be honest. This last weekend, I did not want to watch the race. I had no excitement to watch the race.
Same. I had zero excitement to watch the Roval. I'm glad I did because it was better than I expected. But I had
exact same mindset. Like I did not plan to watch the race. I turned it on just because I mowed for the first half of the race. And then when I came back in, I turned it on.
Yeah.
And it's been a while that I haven't been interested in a NASCAR race like that. Same. But I'm losing interest. And Gluck pointed out something interesting that he tweeted out like right before we started here. And he said that we are now 24 weeks straight of having a NASCAR race. And this could be a major factor of why fans are just burned out.
There's no I miss it factor.
Right. Yeah. And as weird as it is, that is a big psychological factor when it comes to selling things. And because essentially what they're trying to sell here is the NASCAR product. And
that's like look at IndyCar, right? We only get 17 races a year. Even if we had 20 or 22, which I think was like the peak of the kart era, I missed it. I could not wait for the next IndyCar race, even if it was 1 week, because I knew then I wouldn't get a taste for 2 or 3 weeks at some point.
Yeah.
Right. Like I could not wait. I literally cannot wait for every IndyCar race. NASCAR, I'm like, oh, okay. I get excited for a lot of NASCAR races. I can't wait, but 24 straight weeks, I'm not sitting here itching to wait for Las Vegas even. And I usually like Vegas, even more so some of these other races like Talladega or Old Martinsville before this car. Like I would have been dying for these races. But right now I'm like, man, I'll probably have it on while I watch NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah, you're right. They're in absolute panic mode. And I don't know. Like, I hope these changes work. I don't think they're going to do much. And I think it's slipping so much, they might have to do something crazy to get people back, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm glad they're doing something. I think they need I think they need 850 at least horsepower.
I agree. Yep.
Some of the other changes they can't really do right now. And I'll be honest, I don't hate the stages because the reason we started stages twofold. One, to eliminate the phantom debris caution, but two, well, actually threefold. To eliminate the phantom debris caution so we get some TVs commercials is two, but three is I graduated 2010 from grad school. I bought my new car a few months later when my grad school clunker broke down. And then that's when I got Sirius XM NASCAR radio. Was in October 2010 or so. I listened to Sirius XM NASCAR radio every day on my way to and from work for almost 7 years until I moved to Las Vegas and then I was working from home. But in that time frame, 2010 to 2016, and even when I was driving around Vegas and stuff the next couple of years until we had stages, I guess it was 2017, we had stages. So basically the whole time I had my car and I was listening to Sirius XM NASCAR radio every day for an hour each way, people were complaining about how boring the races were because drivers were just riding around for the middle 300 miles of a 500-mile race. Or middle 275 miles of a 400-mile race. So that was another reason the stages were introduced that people completely forget about. So if we go back to no stages, get ready for the complaints about how boring the races are again.
Yep.
Stages have actually been a good thing at a lot of the ovals. I won't say all of them, a lot of the ovals. I think stages have been, especially the 1.5 miles where things were boring as hell back in that era. Stages have been a good thing. They force you to try to strategize to get to the front or just stay up front and run fast, not take it easy in the middle of a race. Stages have been a good thing.
I know some people say
road courses, Pocono and Indy, and the super speedways. If you did away with stages on those and kept stages everywhere else, I'd be really happy.
And a lot of people say manufactured drama, and in a way it kind of is, because yes, we get scenarios where things happen because of the stages, but as you said, it's not like they created stages to create more wrecks. It's just the byproduct of restarts and people being aggressive. So it's, I'm with you though. Stages, I think, were overall good. Now, races do take longer now because of the stages and the brakes.
Because we used to get the phantom debris cautions, and because they're now all 400 miles instead of 500 miles.
That's true. But if they were 500, they'd be longer.
I actually disagree with that. We get so far fewer cautions these days in aggregate than we used to get, because we used to get a lot of blown engines, a lot of mechanical failures, cars were harder to drive, and we got more wrecks. No, I disagree with that. I think I don't have any way to prove it. I don't have time of race or whatever, but races by and large are shorter now.
If any listener,
aside from overtimes,
if any listener gets bored, go check the average race length of pre-stage versus post. I'd be interested.
Adjusted for miles and
adjusted for mileage, and overtime
and track speed.
All right.
You got anything else? You can't do a 500 miler at a slower track versus a 400 miler at a fast track. But nothing else. I just wanted to make sure we talked about those changes or whatever things that NASCAR was talking about today, because those were important.
It looks like NASCAR is also meeting with teams about race manipulation. So we'll see what comes from that.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for us. We'll see what happens this weekend at Las Vegas. Again, later race starting at 5:35 Eastern time on Sunday, kicking off the round of 8 before we head to Talladega. So good luck to everybody this weekend. Enjoy the race, and we'll be back next week to talk about Dega.
See y'all.
See you guys.